What's the difference between vaginal estrogen and vaginal moisturizers? I get this question a lot. Hi, I'm Dr. Carri Dominick. I'm a pelvic floor physical therapist. And let me start off with one huge disclaimer. I am not a medical doctor. I cannot prescribe medications. I get $0 from any pharmaceutical companies for this and $0 from any over-the-counter brands. So this is purely education. So why would someone need a vaginal moisturizer or vaginal estrogen? And these are common needs, especially during and after menopause, sometimes even in pregnancy and postpartum. So what happens in those phases of life, in postpartum and in menopause? Our estrogen decreases in our body, in female bodies. And our vaginal tissues have estrogen receptors in them. And so what can happen is the vaginal tissues can get dry, they can get thin. And so this can lead to a lot of problems that I see in my clinic, which is like bladder leakage. It can be a part of painful sex. It can contribute to UTIs. So people ask, should I use a vaginal moisturizer or should I get vaginal estrogen? So only your doctor can prescribe vaginal estrogen. And here's the difference. You're going to decide what's best for you between you and your doctor. Vaginal estrogen is inserted vaginally. It's usually a cream. It can be a pill tablet. I don't know what you call it. Or a ring. But it's localized to the vaginal tissues. And our vaginal tissues have estrogen receptors. And so with that local estrogen, it helps the tissues be thicker and helps with the moisture. If you have painful sex, this can be a really helpful thing, but this might not be the only thing. Okay? Vaginal moisturizers, on the other hand, I think of them as like a chapstick for your vagina. There's no medicine in them. They're helping moisturize the tissues, but they're not changing the tissues. Whereas estrogen changes the tissues from the inside out, whereas a vaginal moisturizer, maybe it's aloe, maybe it has, I don't know the ingredients, but it has a moisturizer thing, which is basically like a lotion or a chapstick, something you put on the skin that can help. But vaginal estrogen changes what's going on in the cells of the tissue and can create not just moisturizer, but can help thicken the tissues. So a couple things you can look now if you're young and healthy. What do your vaginal tissues look like? And if you're postpartum or if you're menopausal, also look at them. So our labia, the lips, should have some thickness to them. But sometimes when we're lacking estrogen in those, particularly those two phases of life, or with some breast cancer treatments, and that's a whole nother subject, but these things can be safe, but it's up to you and your doctor. Vaginal estrogen is local. It's not systemic. There is systemic estrogen that you can take too. That's different. But the vaginal estrogen works at the cellular level to create thickness of the tissues. So vaginal estrogen has to be prescribed by your doctor. And I'm only talking about what happens in the US. I don't know what happens in other countries, but vaginal estrogen is a prescription and it has to be prescribed by your medical doctor. Vaginal moisturizers are over the counter. You can buy them at the store, you can buy them online. There's a bunch of different brands. I don't really have a brand that I recommend. I don't know. I think it's kind of personal preference and trying them out. So that's a major difference too. Vaginal estrogen, prescribe by your doctor. Vaginal moisturizers, over the counter, it's pretty safe.